What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at Metal Sound LAIRON, and I have some absolutely incredible games for you today. Just playing out of mind with this Pokemon, calling all the right hits, making all the right plays, making some sick catches. I mean, of course, we've got a super meta backline with Gliscod and Jumpluff in the back, and the core between these three Pokemon is really strong, even though it doesn't show it too well in the PvP Poke Sims. LAIRON is a beast with Metal Sound. It has insane pacing. It's got some decent bulk. It feels like a more flexible Bastiodon to me, just because of the typing is the same, but otherwise it plays completely differently. So without further ado, let's hop right into some battles. Alright, so in the first match, we've got an okay lead. We've got Talonflame, and my opponent safe switches into a Credilli. Now this is where LAIRON is great, because LAIRON has super effective Metal Sound, so my opponent's team is already core broken by the LAIRON. I will just stay in this matchup because I have Gliscod that I can put on the Talonflame, and after connecting with that Rock Tomb, I can survive, it looks like 2 charge moves very comfortably. I will let us fire off a second Rock Tomb, and I will just let this go, because even if my opponent tries to come in with their Talonflame, I'm going to get to another Rock Tomb, and that's exactly what's going to happen. They have to shield this up if they want to preserve health on their Talonflame. And that's exactly what my opponent's going to do. So now we have a 2-shield advantage, and all we have to do is get to the Aqua Jet. My opponent overfarms, trying to make it to back-to-back moves, which is why I threw my energy as soon as I got there. The opponent ends up living on 1 HP, but that's fine. I now have a 2-shield Jumpluff to win this game. I snipe with the Fairy Wind. What's in the back? It is a Gligar. So now all I have to do is watch for a catch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just overfarm a little bit in this matchup. And then just throw when I feel like it, and then my opponent makes an absolutely insane Soul Read, catches onto their Credilli, and now suddenly what I thought was a very comfortable matchup has suddenly got a lot harder. They have better pacing to a super effective charge move, so I have to full send an Acrobatics here, but after shielding that up, I know I can also survive one Aerial Ace from a non-Shadow Gligar from this range, so I'm not too worried about it, and I'm able to get to an Acrobatics plus an Aerial Ace in order to pick up the knockout on the Gligar. We were able to take the first win. Okay, into the second match, we've got LAIRON into Greninja. This is a bad lead, so we're going to safe switch into our Gliscod, and the opponent's going to throw 2 fast moves and then safe switch into their Ninetales. I do end up accidentally throwing on alignment here, which is pretty unfortunate. However, I should be able to make it to maybe even a 3rd charge move, depending on if my opponent commits to the full farm down. So here comes 2 Aqua Jets. Can I get there? I live the last charm, and just like that, I'm able to make it to a 3rd Aqua Jet, forcing both shields from my opponent, and now I can just align my LAIRON. I mean, I will get 1 turn lag, obviously, but I can align my LAIRON, which will resist all of the charge moves here, and my fast move is double super effective. So we get the farm down, and now we can put our Jumpluff onto this Greninja. We have a 2-shield advantage, and what's in the back but a Hypno from my opponent? They have no shields remaining, so I will just full send the Shadow Stab Acrobatics. That does some pretty solid damage. Hypno is very bulky, so I'm going to overfarm here until they're in Aerial Ace range. That way I can come out with some energy loaded for the Greninja. I will respect this damage because it could be a potential Ice Punch, but it is just a Thunder Punch. Now I'm going for the knockout with the Aerial Ace, and now I'm 1 Fairy Wind away from an Acrobatics in order to pick up the knockout on the Greninja, and we will be able to take this win. Okay, into the third match, we've got LAIRON into Jellicent, so another tough lead, but this is a matchup where we don't have a good safe switch because Gliscod is completely walled by the Jellicent as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay in this matchup. I'm going to throw the Rock Tomb, because otherwise, in order to outpace, my opponent would have to throw on alignment, and then I go for a Surf Catch on my Gliscod. I'm unsuccessful, but they're still throwing energy here, which is a good thing, because it is debuffed energy, and I do live that fairly comfortably. They then come in with a Jumpluff, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to overfarm, play this CMP tie with their Aerial Ace. That means that this Aerial Ace will be locked in, and they will have to go for the knockout here. They could undercharge, but it would just make it to another charge move. So they do just pick up the knockout, and now I can come in with my LAIRON and completely wall my opponent's moveset, which is why you see me go for the Body Slam here, because I want to go for a Metal Sound farm down. That my opponent knows they could live that, but here comes a charge move. This is an acrobatics. It is double resisted, and look at how little it does to our LAIRON. They end up switching back into their Jellicent, only to be met by a Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb picks up the knockout on the Jellicent, and they come back with a jump left, only to get farmed down. Whatever was in the back did not want to see LAIRON, so my opponent just resigns the match. Skeletor on the lead in the next match. So this is where we want to see it, kind of, but the only way to outpace is by baiting. So this is an insane bait, but I'm baiting a double resisted body slam, and my opponent does respect the damage, which is fantastic because now I can no shield this. It is just a torch song, and I can make it to a rock tomb. So I can win the 0 to 1 shield scenario, which is absolutely insane. LAIRON putting on a clinic in the first match. They come in with a Greninja, and then they have a Morpeko in the back. It's kind of a strange team in a bug meta. They also only farm up to the Psychic Fangs, which means I can no shield that. Now I can connect with an X Scissor, pick up the knockout on the Morpeko, unless they shield, and they do, which is kind of a strange play because I'm going to be able to outpace either way. This does force my energy, but now I have my jump fluff off my Greninja, so even if they throw it away, I can just no-shield this. They can pick up the knockout. Even if they get a boost here, it's not going to be the end of the world, but they do not get that boost. My opponent is playing out this matchup. Kudos to them. There's nothing they can learn here that would really do that much damage. They can learn Aerial Ace. They do get the attack boost, so now I'm just going for BM because I already had the move, but they're staying in this matchup. And I just want to make their time miserable. So now over farming, going for the acrobatics. I don't even need to fully charge this. Yeah, so undercharging, picking up the knockout with the acrobatics with the 2 shield flex, and we are able to take that win. Into the next match. Okay, this is a tough lead. Nidorina is tough because obviously poison things are double resisted, and we can get to the rock tomb here, but dig is double super effective damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect with a rock tomb and then pivot into my Gillespot. The only problem here is they can also learn Thunderbolt, so we could be core broken here, but they do just go for a poison thing, so I will just let this go. They're just wasting all their energy. But it is the Thunderbolt, and they pick up the knockout onto my Gillespot. That is unfortunate. Now where do I go from here? I kind of have to just come back in with my LAIRON and hope I can pick up the knockout with a Body Slam here. Body Slam is non-stab, and it's not a great move anymore, so it actually doesn't pick up the knockout. It was a CMB tie. I believe this is only enough for a Poison Fang, though, so I will let this go. That is triple resisted on LAIRON, so that does absolutely nothing. And what's in the back? It is a Marowak. So this is going to be tough. It is the non-shadow, so I can actually live 2 rock slides here, and they have no ability to mud slap down, so I will let that go. And what's in the back? It's in a Zoom Roll. So of course, not having Energy Ball for coverage for these back 2 Pokemon is a little bit unfortunate, but Acrobatics is such a good move that I'm not too worried about it. I will shield up an Ice Beam, of course, and now I'm just going to go for the Acrobatics. I have such a pacing advantage in this matchup, I don't really need to start baiting yet, especially because if my opponent tried to call a bait like that, then we'd be in a world of trouble. So now I'm able to just spam out these Aerial Aces. My opponent shields, and then like banks that energy only to come back in with their Marowak. And now what I'm going to do here is go for the Acrobatics. That does some pretty sizable damage. And now they also allow me to get to an Aerial Ace. So this is huge. But they have no ability to farm me down here. So they're going to throw 1 charge move. And then I believe they're only 2 mud slaps away from a rock slide if they bait, and they do. So I'm going to catch the resisted rock slide onto my LAIRON, getting the perfect catch there. That does no damage. Unfortunately, mud slaps are double super effective here, so I'm forced to go for a charge move in order to pick up the knockout. But that puts me in range to bubble down, and they're 1 fast move away from a move, but I have the move banked, but it doesn't show up. And because of Niantic and Scopely's incompetence, we lose that game. I had an Aerial Ace banked, and Jumpluff wins the CMP tie over Zoom Roll, but unfortunately we lose that game because they don't know how to code, and that's really unfortunate. But into the next match, we've got LAIRON into Clodsire, so another kind of core breaker for this team. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stay in this matchup. At least Metal Sounds are neutral, and we actually grab a shield with the first one, maybe my opponent unaware about the charge moves on LAIRON, so that's good there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for a second body slam. My opponent knows what this is at this point, and it allows them to throw their energy as soon as they get it. So I'm going to catch the earthquake onto my Gliscod here. And Gliscod can take that no problem. I can outpace, go for the Aqua Jet. My opponent actually goes for an Aqua Jet catch onto their fortress, but because I have such a pacing advantage here, I'm actually able to get to 2 Aqua Jets now, and it looks like 2 Aqua Jets are nearly enough to pick up the knockout on the fortress. Do they let both go? They do. They're going to commit to the Clodsire, which is honestly a really nice play, but instead they come in and get an energy lead with Gliscod. Now, this is a little bit awkward because I kind of need to align my Jumpluff here. So I'm going to come in with my Jumpluff and basically keep my LAIRON on their Clodsire, which isn't great. Fortunately, their Clodsire is energy dry at this point. They do end up going for a catch onto their Clodsire, but I do not go for it. But now, at this point, I'm nearly a back-to-back acrobatics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shield up the Sludge Bomb. Now I'm going for an acrobatics that grabs the shield, and they're going to get to the charge move at the same time as me. So I'm going to catch the Sludge Bomb where it is triple resisted onto the LAIRON and waste all that energy and bank the acrobatics in case I need it for the Gliscod later. Now I'm at a body slam. This body slam will not be enough to KO, but because of the insane pacing, I can overfarm here, play to the CMP tie, with their next charge move of the Earthquake, pick up the knockout with the body slam, and now they're forced to go through a charge move, or else I will get to the Rock Tomb, and that's exactly what they do. And even if this Aqua Jet picks the knockout, which it does, I have the acrobatics banked, and this time my move does show up, so we will be able to take this win. Okay, into the next match, we've got LAIRON into Dedenne. So, I mean, this is where we want to see it on this team. Metal Sound is neutral because it's resistant on electric, but super effective on fairy, and they will be able to strike first with a parabolic charge. This does boost their defense, but I can immediately lower their attack here with a Rock Tomb, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I have overfarmed quite a bit here, so my opponent does respect it. Which is good because I can just shield this back and then just go for another Rock Tomb. Of course, their defense is 2 times raised here though, so they will be able to survive this Rock Tomb. However, soft losing the ones is not a terrible thing here. But instead, my opponent goes for a catch of a Body Slam onto a Swampert. Now, this is fantastic. I'm going to align my Gliscod here. The worst they can go for is a Sludge. So I will just let this go unless they're on Hydro Cannon Earthquake, in which case their moveset is completely walled, and because they go for a Hydro Cannon, I'm thinking that they are, but I'm not going to risk it. They know one charge move doesn't KO, so maybe trying to bait me there into thinking that they didn't have it. And in back is a Golbat, a purified Golbat at that. So we do have good energy generation, so we will be able to connect with potentially 2 Aqua Jets here, which is huge. And then it's just about whether we can pick on a knockout with an acrobatics. I'm going to come in with the LAIRON, force them to throw their energy because everything they learned here is double resisted for Shadow Ball. But if they're on Air Cut or Poison Fang, everything is double or triple resisted, which is insane. And now that we've forced their energy, I'm more comfortable coming in with my Jumpluff here. I will shield this up because I will be able to outpace and get to an Aerial Ace before they get to another charge move. But after shielding that up, they come in with Dedenne, which is a nice play. And because they overfarm a little bit, I can't overfarm by too much here. So I'm going to go for 2 Fairy Winds. Now I'm going to pick up the knockout with the Aerial Ace, and now it's a race. Can I get to the areas before they get there? And the answer is no. So I'm going to go for a catch onto my Gliscod. We get the catch, Air Cutter picks up the knockout, and now all I have to do is make it to an Aerial Ace. An Aerial Ace from this range will pick up the knockout on the Golbat, and we are able to take that win. My opponent clearly force quit the app, and that's why we lagged there. But into the next match, another tough lead. LAIRON is not getting a break on the lead here. Metal Sound is resisted. Fortunately, we do have neutral Rock Tomb for coverage, and this will lower their attack. However, if my opponent is running Earthquake, and this one does overfarm up to it, you saw me trying to go for the catch there, I will respect this damage. It is just the Sand Tomb, so now I know I can survive that Sand Tomb. While it is double super effective, it is not a great move. So after connecting with 2 Rock Tombs, I can most certainly let this next Sand Tomb go. And once that second one goes, I can just get a full farm down of the fortress. So we are able to get switch here in this matchup, which is great. What are they going to come in with? They're going to come in with a Tentacruel. Yeah, Tentacruel is not going to have a good time poison jabbing, which is triple resistant on a LAIRON down. They are going to be forced to throw a charge move here, so I'm just going to stay in this matchup. LAIRON is putting in a lot of work already, so they go for an acid spray, a bit of a strange play. Now they tried to sucker punch snipe with the Furret. That allows me to connect with a Rock Tomb and debuff their attack and grab a shield, and now I can align my jump bluff onto their Furret, which is fantastic because Trailblaze is double resisted, so they're forced to go for Swifts, but they go for a Trailblaze anyways to boost their attack back up, I guess, to where Rock Tomb debuffed it to. So okay, but now here comes an Acrobatics. They do shield that up, but guess what? This Swift is only regular damage because of that Rock Tomb debuff, so I can let that go. Just watching for a catch here, over farming, now going for the Acrobatics. This won't be enough to KO, but once I land this damage, the game is over, because now I can just align my Gallipod. They will throw their energy here. This is the hardest hitting charge move, so I will shield this up. And now with like an energy lead, I can just pick up the knockout with an Aqua Jet or put it close within range in the deep red, and then get a Fury Cutter farm down. As long as my opponent is not running Sludge Wave, then this game is won. And even if they are, I think I'd be able to get to an Aerial Ace potentially on the jump bluff. So, but able to Fury Cutter farm them down, come out with a move loaded for the Furret, and their Furret is at 1 HP. So complete undercharge here, still picks up the knockout, and we're able to take that win. Okay, into the next match, we've got Magcargo on the lead. So this is another matchup where Body Slam is resisted, and Rock Tomb is super effective. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going for a Body Slam bait, which is absolutely insanity. They do end up respecting that damage, which is huge. And these Incinerates are only neutral damage, so I will let this go. It is the Rock Tomb bait, and now I can connect with a Rock Tomb of my own. That is super effective damage, puts them into the red. I'm also able to make it to a Body Slam, which is absolutely huge. So we're going to be able to grab Switch and a shield advantage. But instead, my opponent actually shields and then gives up Switch anyways. So maybe banking that energy for later. I'm now going to align my jump bluff onto their Wigglytuff. Going to go for the Acrobatics right away. I end up throwing it on alignment, which means they have enough for the Icy Wind now. But so what I'm going to do there is I'm going to catch the Icy Wind onto my Gallipod where it is resisted. Icy Wind connects, that does no damage. Can I get a Fury Cutter farm down with debuffed Fury Cutters? It's going to be close, but I am able to get there. Loaded with energy. At this point, my computer told me it needed to restart, which is why you see me go for an Aqua Jet against a Superior, which is pretty unfortunate because that is a lot of wasted energy. And we would have been able to pick up the knockout on the Superior here, but that's okay. We still have a jump bluff. I can live one charge move here, which I kind of need to, because their Magcargo has the potential to get to another charge move. So now I'm going to live that. I'm going to go for the Aerial Ace right away, and I am only 4 Fairy Winds away, I think, away from a charge move, but actually they're in Fairy Wind farm down range at this point, so I can just shield this up, go for the Fairy Wind farm down, and we are able to take that win. Into the final match of the video, LAIRON into Gligar. I cannot catch a break with these leads apparently. I guess if you're going to run LAIRON, don't run it on the lead, but my opponent outpaces me here, so I don't think this is going to be a dig. But it turns out it can. LAIRON lives it on 1 HP thanks to those good IVs. Yeah, so Gligar pacing is 13 Fury Cutters to a, what's it called, a dig there, and I thought it was 14 like Wing Attack used to be to the first, so huge mistake there. I let it go, massive double super effective damage. I am able to preserve it, which is huge, and the Jellicent can pick up the knockout now with a Shadow Ball, but they bait for some reason with a Surf, which is a strange play, because now that means I can get this Jellicent a little bit lower with another Aqua Jet, and if my opponent doesn't throw, but they do. So now they're going to pick up the knockout with a Shadow Ball. Surf will still not be enough to KO. They Surf bait again. I have no idea what my opponent is doing. They then come back in with a Gligar, only to be met with a super effective Aqua Jet and forced to shield that. In comes my jump bluff. Sure, they could connect with a super effective Aerial Ace here, but I've already grabbed a shield for my opponent, so I'm just going to shield that up, and now I'm going to pick up the knockout with the Aerial Ace. I know their Jellicent is pretty low on energy, so what is in the back? It is a Swampert. So if this Swampert is running Sludge, this could get a little bit tricky. I am going to overfarm here. I'm going to go for the acrobatics. This will do massive damage, even though it isn't double super effective like Energy Ball, and it does. And now I can overfarm here, go for a triple resisted sludge catch onto my LAIRON. That is absolutely huge. Picks up the knockout, obviously, and I think that puts them in Fairy Wind farm down range for my Jump Fluff. Do they come back in with their Jellicent? They do, but that's okay because I can just pick up the knockout with an Aerial Ace here. Aerial Ace does grab the knockout, and now it's a Fairy Wind down of the Swampert, and we're able to take that win. Yes, this is a random black screen. The video is still going. This is because my opponent quit like as I won, so very strange, but yeah, that's what happened. But yeah, that was LAIRON. Honestly, this Pokemon was so much fun to play. I mean, I definitely played a lot better in these matchups than I had in the past. I mean, I still threw an alignment a few times, to be completely honest, so maybe not my best plays, but I did think LAIRON surprised me. I think if you know when to bait with this Pokemon, it can be very deadly. And I think that's what I noticed when I was going through the sims with it, is that it was really strong if you were baiting resisted moves and then landing the super effective move. So definitely something to watch out for. Obviously, its pacing is great. Metal Sound does good damage this season, and has great energy generation. So with that in combination with Rock Tomb is great, and then just Body Slam as a bait move is fantastic. And then of course you've got your meta staples in the back with Gillespot and Jump Left to round it out, and their weaknesses pretty much cover each other. So that's gonna be it from me from this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace.